Hey, what's going on, kids and kittens? It's Stony, back with another video, or my second video, I guess you could say. I think the first one was like an introduction, basically me rambling about anything and everything dealing to do with, you know, being trans, black, all that stuff. But hopefully today we can get into a little bit more pointed video, just kind of talking about my last, 2 weeks. Started tea on August the 11th. It is now August the, my phone's up here, so I don't have it. It's August the 22nd. I know that for a fact because I have a show tonight on the 22nd. So it is August the 22nd. So it's been 11 days. So coming up on Tuesday will be like 2 weeks. I don't know if I would be able to record a video at that point, so I just figured, why not do it now while I'm sitting outside and hanging out in the car with the booster seat and all that. You know what I mean? So anyway, yeah. So I guess getting to the update, and I'll just do a little disclaimer. I know that like trans people do not owe our experiences to anybody. We don't owe like talking about this stuff to anybody. I'm talking about it for the simple fact that I don't see a lot of like fat black folks on here talking about their transition. It's usually like able-bodied, gym-bodied people who like, let me show you what's going on with me, which is fine, right? Because even in my instance, those have been like super helpful, but I just think that like it helps when you see yourself. It just does. So yeah, so I think the first thing I would say that I actually noticed, I got some coffee here thanks to my wifey, brought it out to the cat. I probably say the first thing that I noticed, like I put it on because I'm doing the gel, right? So I'm doing a 1.62% gel, 1 pump a day, right? Starting me on the lowest dose. Just to start off, like the endocrinology appointment, we'll start there and then kind of move on. So the endocrinology appointment itself was like fairly simple, right? Like I thought there would be like a little bit more involved than that possibly, but there wasn't, because I was starting or wanting to start on a lower dose. It was like, we don't really necessarily need to get your baseline hormones, because it's not like you're doing like the highest dose that would possibly throw anything out of whack or anything like that. So we'll do that, and then in 3 months we'll check your levels. You know what I mean? I had recently had some blood work done, so he already kind of had my baseline for like iron and all these other things, which low iron, so I have to take a supplement for that, which I haven't done today, so good work. But anyway, so that was pretty simple. So he was like, yeah, so I'll prescribe it, and cool. And so I just went and picked it up, and yeah, I just applied it. The first week it was just like my upper arms, you know what I mean? I didn't want to try like anything else, but this week I've been doing like my thighs, and that's been working pretty well. It's just challenging because like I'm married, I now have a 6-year-old and an 11-year-old, and granted we don't all be in the same place or like all cuddled up all the time, but if the 6-year-old running jumps on my arm and my sleeve comes up a little bit too far or something like that, I just worry about stuff like that. So I wanted to have it like in a place where it was like covered at all times, and then like me and the wife can kind of figure out later on in the night if I need to shower or something like that. So yeah, so I've been doing that. So the first thing I probably noticed was like when I put it on the first day, I noticed like tingling kind of going like up my neck, like kind of the hot kind of thing at first, and I was like, okay, this is interesting. But I think that was just like the absorption, right? Like it was just absorbing into my body. But I mean, outside of that, it was just kind of like, all right, cool, like nothing really crazy. My throat got scratchy like immediately, so that was a little bit interesting. I was just like, okay, like it happens that quick. Interesting. I hate sports bras so much. I hate them so much. But yeah, so that was a little bit interesting. My voice was scratchy, and it was just kind of like cracking. you know. And I had like watched some things, and most people were like, yeah, my boy feels scratchy, and I was just like, I don't think that's possible, but it is apparently. Like that happened like almost immediately, and I was just like, okay, it's weird. I had like weird like follicles on my face, like not necessarily hair growing, but just like the little follicles, like, oh, this could be a hair, this is hair potential, which facial hair was not necessarily something I was like aiming for or super excited about really, or even really wanted to happen, but it was kind of one of those things where I was like, okay, I'm not gonna be upset if it happens, I'll just shave. So yeah, and then my skin is really dry. I know a lot of people complain about, and this is the reason why there needs to be like a diversity of these videos, because every video is my skin's oily, I'm getting acne, my skin's oily, I'm getting acne. My skin is dry. Like I put on layers of lotion, body oil, like it doesn't soak in. Like my skin is dry, you know what I mean? So one thing that maybe varies from the norm. Let's see. Bottom stuff, disclaimer. I'm gonna go into that, so if you don't want to hear that, take a hike, or not necessarily take a hike, maybe just skip it. But yeah, so that, and people say pain, people say hurting, not necessarily pain, maybe a little pinche, right? Like a little pinche, like, oh, what's that? But mainly just the like beating sensation of like constant throbbing is what I experienced. And then like discharge stuff, which went away after like the first week, or kind of calmed down, I guess you would say, after the first week. And just like, yeah, overall, like I just kind of like got some wipes, started paying like more attention to what was going on to kind of prevent any issues, and that was it. That was it. And then other than that, yeah, I think more hair on my thighs, like the hair and everything is getting darker and thicker. I think my feet grew. I was definitely in a 9.5 prior to, but I just bought some shoes that were 10, and it's like, they fit, you know what I mean? So I think my feet got a little bit bigger. And definitely, like, I don't know about fat redistribution, it's probably way too early to even be talking about that, but like, just the way that my arms and my body and just like everything up here is kind of like shifted. Like I didn't think it can happen with my shoulders, or like getting broader. You know, just doing that motion just looks different, it feels different. So yeah, so I mean that's about it. And I mean otherwise emotionally, I think like I'm not like raging out, I'm not super upset about anything. When I do get upset, it's easier for me to shake off. I think that's the commonality with like all of my emotions. Things are very much easier for me to like shake off. I don't hold on to things as much anymore. I'm just like, okay, cool, like that's what it is. Word. It's easier for me to do the things that I had a lot of problems with before. Like I can just go to the store and go in and get out and get what I need, even though I'm still like anxious and I have dysphoria and all those different things. It's definitely something I can be like, it's almost like I accept that I have those things, and then I just move on. You know what I mean? Like I accept, okay, cool, you have dysphoria, like you're going through some shit right now, cool, push through, get it done. You know what I mean? And not that that is always the solution, but that's just what I've experienced, right? So any other means of support to get through those things, obviously, are still super valid. You know, therapy, you know, coping mechanisms, etc. But in terms of what I'm talking about, just like doing a thing, it's becoming less of like a thing. It's just like, okay, I'll go do this thing, cool. Fights, like arguments with like my partner and things like that, are definitely a little bit more like, I get more combative and I'm like a little bit more angry than I was before. Because before there was so much going on in my head, I kind of needed like more processing time, and now I don't. Now I'm just like, I'm mad, sis, and then, you know, we just kind of go from there. So that's been interesting. So still super new, still a super like raw experience at this point. Obviously it's a super raw video. I'm sitting in my car, I'm not necessarily in the right place to be just like talking to you. But I appreciate y'all. I appreciate everybody who's watching and sticking around, and hopefully I will have more information for you soon. And yeah, it's nice.